all the time.
Thank you so much.
Do you want sound still?
I do. Can you do sound? Can you make the sound work? Oh, well then that's a problem because I don't speak Bahasa.
No, it's okay. Easy. Like this sound.
I was kind of
Here.
Oh
wait, he's
what
got.
the moment my leader?
Oh, he's got it all plugged in. Wait a minute.
She's on my engineering.
Yeah. Yep. They'll get it. It's one of these doohies and dongles. It just
Yeah,
start.
they all look as though like microphones are working. And there's
Hmm?
4 channels. There's 4 channels up in the
I
microphone.
never know anymore.
I know.
I don't ask. Okay.
It's not the end of the world. It's an icebreaker. No, it's one of the most watched videos ever on YouTube.
Oh.
I actually had a much longer session planned because I teach this at university and
Yeah.
etc. And I had the whole. Thank you, Joe.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, close to me. Sit on the edge, Liana, so if you need to jump up. Okay.
I'll sit.
Oh, maybe Leona could sit on the edge, so she could jump up to help me.
Who do you want?
Can Leona sit where you are?
Yeah.
And you can come close to me, Emily. I just if I get. Oh no, you don't need to, Leona. I like that spot. You can feel like you're not on show. I mean, unless you want to, but.
Do you want to be on show? I feel like that's not your style.
It's not. That's why I thought. But it will be quick if I do need anything. I am using Leona's laptop because my laptop it's old and slow. I've got to get a new one at some point.
Isn't it funny the things we have down the list?
I know, it's such a boring way to spend money, you know, because I've got one. I don't want to.
It's still working.
Exactly, Emily.
I said to my staff the other day, I was like, can you give me a sticker to make my broken screen not fall apart? And he's like, it's like, it just somehow cracked somewhere.
Hello, I'm Ruth.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Chen Ol.
Hello, Chen Ol. Sok sbay thế?
Yeah, sok sbay.
Oh, sok thom thom.
Sok thom thom.
Ja.
I can learn one word, sok samo. It means like thank you in Indonesia. They say sok.
Oh, you're Indonesian.
No. But actually can learn.
You've learnt it now.
Yeah, learn.
Sok lemor, is it? Thank you.
Sok samo.
Sok semor.
Yeah, but it's thank you.
That's handy though, right? I'm going to practice when the guy comes in. Sok semor when he helped me.
But sok samo, it doesn't mean like how are you. It means thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Chen Ol from Cambodia, from Chap Lai Kalisan. I joined the session last year.
Oh, good. Yes.
That is why I need to join your session again next year.
Oh, good. I'm so happy. Yeah, it'll be. I will speak to make it make sense. Amber!
I just learned from Kakada, sok samo.
Oh, Kakada. Hi, Kakada. Can you sok tom tom?
No, sok samo means thank you.
But I know, but I say sok. I was speaking Khmer.
Oh, yeah,
She was Can we have some sound for the video? Yes, as I plug this in. Well, my friend did. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. That's Leona's. They're not old. I already have them now. Take those and I take them away. I put in here. To my, oh no, come on. To my, I keep going to speak all the time. Come on, and it's like, oh.
Oh, it's working. That's great.
Yep, it's playing now.
Oh, is it a computer? It's a computer sound now.
Oh, it's a computer sound now? That's a good thing, Leona. So we have to exit out and turn the sound up? Or maybe the sound down under here in that little 3 dots, hey? See, this is why we get here.
Where we have off only.
Like a studio. okay, isn't it? Oh. Okay. Oh, so clever. No, but it's on mute, this one here. Oh, look at you, so clever. Well, I have to go back in now. Where? Okay, we're not in that.
So
We're not going to be polar bears.
I know I've played it on your computer out loud, so I know it works. Yeah. The microphones work too, the microphone. Hello. I remember your face. Where do I remember your face from?
From last year, we sat together.
We did.
Yes.
Lovely. So, Mike, nice to see you again, Mike.
Tammy.
And Tammy. Hi, Tammy. From Rise.
Yes, well, it was.
I was thinking, I don't remember Rise.
No, we were in the transition shortly after.
Now it's coming back to me. We're a couple coming in. That's right. I'm going, you guys are so familiar, but you know, you have to get everyone back into you've moved spots. Yeah. Oh, it's so good to have you here. Yeah.
I noticed
Okay, so we're just trying to get sound
Sound.
The video.
from the video.
Ah. So,
It doesn't really matter. It was an icebreaker to just make you all laugh. So if I don't have it, I'll have to make you laugh other ways.
well, is it? Okay, so that's from the laptop. So it's not. We could. Yeah, probably there. So.
Oh yes, coming out.
Well, it's coming out here. But that would be loud enough to like.
Here's your microphone.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a short little thing, right?
Yeah, it's just funny. We're going to even,
Yeah.
it was actually before everyone gets here, so just to while people coming in and just make you all laugh.
Yeah.
That won't do.
Can this one come off?
So now. Working a bit.
It is, isn't it?
Just do that.
So now can you put my slide back up? Is that my life? It doesn't look like it's on the screen.
It's because it's in the extend mode.
It's coming out fine.
Sure. Is that good?
Yeah, it's great. No, it's not playing yet. But it should be downloaded already, so because it's
It
not
was
up.
playing before without the sound.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, Satina. Can you take It's for no other reason than to make you smile. We all need a laugh, don't we? It's worth it, eh? You can find it on YouTube if you Google baby laughing at ripping paper. It's got like 1 billion views, I think. It's from a session I do, a longer session on how when you're feeling overwhelmed or heavy, watch some of these. But I just thought I'd leave it in while everyone's arriving. Well, I think we're. I'll play just another minute and then. While we're still waiting. I think we're still waiting on a few people, so I'll just let it play through. We're supposed to be 58. Hi, Bosco. Well, I suppose we better get started, hey? Hello, everyone. It's so good to be with you all here today in the session, getting to know yourself and the beautiful people that we work with better today. So, a little bit about me. I'm Ruth Lowell, and I founded Bloom Asia in Phnom Penh. Some of you will know we train in hospitality and cake decorating, barista skills, and I've lived in Cambodia for 10 years. Recently handed over the CEO position to Dave Saxby, and I'm currently back now in Australia, and 2 days a week I'm working for Bloom and doing clinical supervision with Denite. Denite, wave your hand. This Denite is our head counsellor at Bloom, and Satir is our country director that you all met on the first day. And 2 days a week, I am a psychotherapist counselling sex trafficking survivors in Australia. And 1 day a week, I lecture at university in identity formation and advanced trauma care using memory reconsolidation. So those of you who actually work in the psychotherapy field and want to know anything about that, it's to do with transformational change. So when you actually update neural networks with new information and there's instant change versus the older approaches of building new neural pathways. So today, we are going to do the exciting topic of how do we develop a sense of self. I'll just see is everything okay? I'm like just checking that you can all hear. And how do we develop a sense of self. How do we know who we are? Does our personality change? Can we change? Or are we always just the same? So we're going to dive in a little bit. Now, you can follow along with me. At the end of this, you will have 2 drawings if you follow along with me. And all of the presentation notes can fit in on your drawing, so it will make sense to you. Okay? So, this is our drawing. It's a head. And you can see it's kind of looking from the side. So, the head's looking like that. I had fun with some graphics there. So, we're going to start with, right from the beginning, when we are born with the hardware, our brains, but all of the software, all of the apps on how to do life, how to be human, are downloaded. Okay? This is going to be very oversimplified. I could use all of the technical jargon and talk about the ventral medial prefrontal cortex, etc., etc. But if you're like me, my head is full, and I'm going to keep this really simple. Because also we want to explain this to the people that we work with, our leadership team. This is going to be a great tool for you to understand yourself and to understand those that you're working with. So, there are 3 parts to the brain, and those of you who came last year, we did the model, the hand model, right? So I'm going to keep to that. There is a lot more complexity with actual neural networks, executive networks, etc. We're just going to keep it simple. I am trained in neuroscience, and my mentor says, yes, this is accurate, it's just simple. So, the first part of the brain, right down here at the back, I'm going to call that our survival brain. The survival brain has no words in it and operates automatically. So it controls your heart, your breathing, your muscles, your blood supply, your hormones, every neurochemical in your body, automatically. So we'll just hear that, okay? Automatically. The next part of our brain, which is buried deep into right in the middle of our brain, is the emotional brain. And I'm also going to share right here, right now too, in your emotional brain, there are no words and no sense of time. Just hold that. The only thing that gets stored here are body sensations, images and body sensations. This is going to be important in a minute. The third part is our thinking brain. So the thinking brain, just to make it easy, contains the L's. Learning, logic, language. Okay? So this is the part right just behind here, your medial prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, that makes sense of who you are and how you fit into the world and make sense of the world. This is where you keep the narrative or story of who I am, right here. So, how does the brain work? How does it actually come up with ideas, thoughts, feelings? It takes in information from your 5 senses. So, your eyes, so images, smell, hearing, touch, taste. Now, who wants to, I've already actually put it on here. I was going to say, who wants to guess? Where do you think this information goes first? Everyone thinks it goes to the thinking brain usually when I ask this question. But actually, all the information, the sensors take the data from the outside world and really quickly have to do this micro-processing to make sense of what they're seeing, hearing, smelling, touching. So the whole body, what it's touching. And it will actually have information coming up from the gut based on what it's actually touching. Okay? So, all information comes in. Now, the this is really interesting. 4 times a second, your brain asks 2 questions. So can you turn to the person on your right and say, 4 times a second?
4 times a second.
Wow! How quick? So we're talking microseconds is how this processes. And it's going to ask 2 questions. So everything it sees, hears, touches, tastes, feels, sees, okay? It says, am I safe? So I want you to turn to the person on your left this time, or behind you, and say, my brain asks 4 times a second, am I safe?
My brain, 4 seconds, am I safe?
Am I safe? So everything that you think, feel, and do is based on what your brain is going to predict is the appropriate next response. Okay? But it also asks a second question. Do I have a choice? So turn to the person on your other side this time and say it also asks, do I have a choice?
Do I have a
Do I have a choice? Now, this is really, really important because the definition of trauma is when you are overwhelmed and powerless. Overwhelmed means you no longer have the resources or capacity to feel safe within your own self. Powerless means you have no choice in this moment of what to do. So our brain is continually seeking 4 times a second to make sure you are safe and that you have a choice in this situation. And we're going to see what happens when you do have a choice and when you don't have a choice. So everyone, just because I think it's really important for those of us who work in this field, that it can be really, trauma is this big, what is trauma? Does it mean big things? Just turn to the person, tap them on the shoulder in front this time, okay? And tell them trauma is being overwhelmed and powerless.
Trauma is being overwhelmed and powerless.
So our role is going to be, how do we make sense of this for ourselves, the way that we see ourselves and respond to life, and how do our clients see themselves and respond to life? Because their brain is saying this 4 times a second and automatically going to predict how to feel, how to think, and what they should do. Okay, so let's get to that. If the brain says, yes, I feel safe, guess what? It goes straight to the thinking brain. Okay, it says, we're safe, we can actually think about this and strategically make some choices. Okay? So some of you might want to know, well, how does it decide what is safe? I could do another whole hour on that. It's based on attachment and whether you got secure or insecure attachment as a child. So your brain is pre-formed by 2 years of age, 80%, and by 7 years of age, all the neural networks are in place, and for the rest of your life, it's often just trying to predict and say that it's correct in the way that it has formed, unless you update it with new information. Okay? So we call this emotional learning. So just like muscle memory, you learn to ride a bike, or you learn to eat, put a spoon in your mouth, okay? You also learn to be. So you innately reach out for attachment to feel safe, and then you make a learning, an emotional learning. I matter. My needs matter.
or whatever it is, I don't matter. My needs are not important. Everybody I love leaves me, whatever it is. So this is the interesting thing with trauma. The event is over, but what we are working with is the meaning that we ourselves and survivors have made of the event that happened. So that's our work. We don't, and now with memory reconsolidation, you never actually need to go back into the story and re-traumatize. What we want to be working with is the meaning that you've made from that experience, which was so wonderful. We come in and yesterday hearing about photo voice, and tonight and I are really excited because what they're working with is the meaning that was made of their experience. Okay? The body knows the experience is over, but it's what meaning, what has this said? I don't matter, my needs don't matter, I'll always have a bad life, I'll never find a good man who will really love me, and even if I do, they will leave me, blah, 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 blah. Now remember, this meaning is made without words. It's a felt sense in the emotional brain. So I want you to imagine in the emotional brain, little filing cabinets. Can you do that? So the eyes see something, an image, or hear something, a song, or smell something, an aftershave, okay? And in microseconds, through the files, it cross-references any previous information or experiences, okay, where they felt unsafe or safe. Okay, so we'll delve into this a little more deeply in just a moment. But if they say, yes, I feel safe. So right now, I'm quite calm up here because I feel safe. You guys are all engaged and listening or whatever. If I started hearing, people leaving or whatever, my eyes and my ears are hearing, what's happening here? Am I not making sense? And I will cross-reference that with my experience, and I will go a different way. My brain will actually function automatically differently. So we're up here in the thinking brain. How do we know when we're in our thinking brain and we're really, this is our sense of self, okay? So there's what they call, in the psychology world, the 8 C's, okay? So there's 8 C's. You can say, when am I in self? This will make a little more sense when we see when we're not in self, okay? So the first thing that you will know when you're feeling in your true self. So if you have faith, you might think that is your soul. If you are a behavioural therapist, you would call it an observing self. If you're a psychoanalyst, you would call it your ego, etc. So it is the part of you that notices. So I'll just do a little thing, because this is really important. Maybe I'll just take us through the C's first, and then we'll actually do a little exercise right here, right now, so you can experience, yes, I'm in self right now. Because this is the work that we will see that we're doing with ourselves, with survivors, is coming back to true self. Okay, this is our work, psychological flexibility to be in true self, who we are, before we developed all of these different ways to cope in a broken world. So when you're in true self, you feel connected. We're made for connection, as many as have learned from Brené Brown. We feel connected to ourselves, our bodies, we feel alive, we're connected to others, and we're connected to the world. We feel part of it. Okay, so you can actually ask yourself, do I feel connected? Then you're trying to work out, am I in self right now? Or am I going to see, really not? Okay, so the next one is curiosity. Am I curious about what's happening? I often give our blue girls, because it's really hard to explain curiosity. It's like a playful puppy. A puppy is not thinking about yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. It's like, oh, what's here? Ooh, I'm going to play with that. Ooh, does that person want to play with me? And they're so alike. There's a flower. I would smell that. What does it taste like? Ooh, what if I do if I just playing. It's right here, present in the moment, enjoying life. So curiosity, when we don't feel alive anymore, is often because we're not in self and we've lost our curiosity, our joy to wonder and be in this present moment. Compassion is the next C. Compassion. Compassion is the capacity to see suffering and act kindly. And once again, just like connection, we need to find compassion for ourselves and all of the parts of us, the strong parts, the struggling parts, the fearful parts, the sexy parts, the friendly parts, the parts of us, to find compassion. Because then we can find compassion for others. And compassion has neurologically been shown by many. If you Google compassion, self-compassion studies, Harvard, 3,200 studies now on the way compassion rewires your brain and brings you into self. Okay, it literally emits, when you are kind to yourself, instead of beating yourself up about something, and just go, oh, hey you, that was really tough in there. I got you, girl. You're going to be okay. We'll move on to what that looks like. I actually release a neurochemical called GABA. GABA is a relaxation chemical, and it completely calms your brain. So in any moment when you want to sleep or calm, self-compassion has a neurochemical effect on your body. Teaching your other colleagues at work and our survivors, we can help rewire the brain so that they can be in self. So if you look for studies on self-compassion, and they look at the brain of a monk who's done lots of mindfulness or self, there's quite a lot of studies. The brain is different. This part here is bigger and able to stay in the present for longer. And this is really important because a trauma survivor's brain does look different to a brain that has not experienced complex trauma or chronic trauma over an extended time. So just hold that. Their brain looks different. Their emotional brain or their amygdala is enlarged because it's got to hold a lot of files, right? All those 4 seconds, I'm not safe, I'm not safe. It needs to really, so it's like a muscle that's gone to the chin and is really big and strong now. Okay? But it doesn't need learning and executive function or strategy, logic. That actually closes down. The hippocampus becomes smaller and shrinks. So the work that we're doing at Bloom will be literally to help give the girls a sense of safety and a sense of empowerment. I can choose. So as their brains are scanning, that sense of safety says the amygdala can come back down to a normal size and be less hypervigilant. And the hippocampus, the learning part of their brain, can increase in size. And this is really important for those of you who are teaching or trying to wonder why it can be harder for survivors to hold information. They think they're done. But when they can actually understand and know these are neural pathways that can grow. They're neuroplastic and you can grow them. So sometimes tonight we're going to end up having to do a lesson in hospitality 3 times. And we do that, whatever it takes. Just recently, Satia was telling me that one of our new students could not get some barista skills. And our lovely Dara, a survivor herself, spent 6 hours training this girl, making her feel safe. So safe. And that it was her choice to be there and learn that it was okay.
Wow.
Satia, did she learn how to make a beautiful coffee by the end?
Yeah.
She did. And that part of her brain now is bigger and more beautiful. But understanding this, what does it look like for who we work and for ourselves, right? We're not going to learn if we don't feel safe. So I will move through these other ones a little faster. Courage. We naturally feel courageous creative. Okay, so this is another big thing with survivors, right? They haven't needed creativity when they've been in danger. Their whole point, their sense of safety is, what do I need to do to keep safe? I need to be hypervigilant, my heart needs to be beating fast, I need oxygen, I need to keep my muscles tight and tense, to make sure I can handle anything that comes my way. The sense of, we don't need creativity. So we're actually rebuilding that. What does it look like to be creative? And that will only come out if they feel safe and that they have a sense of choice, of power. So our job is literally, what does it look like to own your power? Okay, calm, a sense of calm, clarity. You have a real sense of, I know what I want and I know where I'm going to go. Confidence, I can do this. We'll see as we move along this presentation how this all ties together. So we call these the 8 C's in secular psychology. Faith-based people might call these the fruits of the spirit, gentleness, kindness, patience, peace, love, etc. So this is true self. So you're of course going to have some genetic personality, DNA that also will impact the way you enact these 8 C's. Okay, so these would look different to the way you're in self than when I'm in self. Okay, and that's where we have such uniqueness, okay, and giftings in our DNA. But when we're in the 8 C's, we're in true self. Okay. So, what happens if the brain in those microseconds say, no, I'm not safe and I don't have a choice? It automatically goes to the survival brain. Automatically. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. So I used this example last time, but if all of us heard a big explosion or bang outside these doors, every single one of us would, and none of you would be able to sit here and listen to me until we knew that we were safe and that we could have some sort of way, control to get ourselves to safety or power over the situation. Oh, and I said, don't worry about it, guys, just keep going. We are in survival brain. And this is very helpful to us, when our emotional brain sort of note someone's too close behind us and we'll suddenly move. And our brain is really helpful. It helps keep us safe. On a moto, you kind of get a feeling when somebody's coming up too close and you've already ducked out of the way without thinking about it. We don't want to have to think through all the steps of what to do. So the survival brain, it does not go to your thinking brain. So many of you will have heard of, when your brain, that you flipped your lid, that's something they're teaching in all the schools. So when the emotional brain is what we hear triggered, and all triggering is, it's found a file in those little filing cabinets in the emotional brain that are holding information that says we're not safe and we don't have a choice right now. Or we feel disempowered. Okay, that's what a trigger is. And it says, we don't want learning, logic, language up here. What do we need to do? What do we need to do to get safe? Okay, and get ourselves back into a sense of power. And the survival brain has an automatic function because if we're in danger, we need adrenaline and cortisol. So neurochemicals drive our whole body. So our whole body is one nerve. I did that session, I think, 2 years ago for a rat on polyvagal theory, the vagal nerve that carries these neurochemicals, okay? But we're doing something a little different today. And so there are 2 chemicals, and if those who have heard of adrenaline and cortisol, they're great if Amber sees somebody trapped under a large object and she's got to run in and lift it up. Those chemicals come in really handy. And you often hear people do amazing things like run for 24 hours to save, their child or a member in, blah, blah, blah. You do amazing feats, okay? And adrenaline and cortisol is wonderful, but we're not meant to live like like this all the time, which is what a survivor is doing. So they are literally having this chemical surging through their bodies all the time. Their heart's beating fast, their breathing is shallow, all of their energy is here in the upper half of their body, ready for action, for danger. What do I need to do to get out of this? And you could be the source of danger. You're the boss, or you're the leader. And what are they going to do? What's going to happen? And so they're on this sense of high alert. What we want to do is, first of all, be in ourselves, in our sense of self, true self. Because we have what's called mirror neurons in our brain. So those who want to Google that, mirror neurons. And right brain to right brain, we can co-regulate somebody and give them a sense of safety. So right now I can look at Anne, and she can see in my eyes. I see you. I connect with you. And immediately her brain can actually pick up my tender heart that she's safe with me in this moment. And this is a gift that we can give each other. But if we're not in that state, we will give a sense of fear, of unsafety, and no choice to the people that we work with. So we've got to do our own work first. We have to know ourselves. How do we get into this sense of true self when we're with others? So I always tell my counsellors, if they don't even know anything at all right there in that moment of what to do, turn up in true self. Because that's healing. When you're fully cared for in that moment and you feel safe. Because most survivors actually don't know that feeling. So we're really rebuilding their brain. You're safe. You matter. You're valuable to me. And this is actually memory reconsolidation, emotional learning that they've taken on, that they don't matter, that they won't have a good life. It's getting rejigged. What is this new learning? I do matter. It's powerful and it's neurological and it's biological and it's just, I don't know how anyone can do this work without understanding these principles. It's so profound and so important. So the next thing, I pretty much have explained this now. It literally cuts off the blood supply to your thinking brain. So when you can't think, if you aren't making your students or survivors safe in that moment, they won't even hold the information in or learn or be creative. It says, we don't need that. Let's cut the supply off until the brain recognises it is safe. And what else? What's the other thing? I have a choice. Okay. So now we're going to swap over to the 8 Fs. Okay. So how does it automatically respond? Okay, the thinking brain's turned off. It's a hierarchy. So the way our bodies are made is the first step that it automatically, and this is something you have to understand, automatically, so turn to the person to your left and say automatically, no choice, it's automatic response.
Automatic response. I'm just not going to say nothing to someone.
And this is really important to understand so that we aren't judging or labelling our clients or even ourselves inviting self-compassion. We've got a little bit now to go, why am I doing this? So the first F is fight. Okay? So put your hands up and fight to the person to your left. Fight. So often it's not physical. It's just annoyance or irritability. You know, that kind of sense. But with this kind of awareness now, you can go, oh, this doesn't feel like true self at the moment. I'm really, this is really annoying me. Okay? Oh, so what's happening? What's going on for me that I don't feel safe or I don't have choice in this moment? Why do I feel this sense that I need to fight this person or be aggro or sarcastic or whatever that looks like for you in fight? For our survivors, of course, they couldn't fight their way out. So they will go to the next one, which is flight. So flight is a bit of a funny one. It just means moving away. So everyone goes, the second automatic response is flight. Just fight. Don't just say fight, flight. So try to get this deep into your brains, okay? Fight, flight. So it's hierarchical. At first, your automatic prediction is to say, can I fight? No? Okay, I need to get away. So if I'm about to be attacked, if Emily comes up and is about to hit me on the head, Emily! Oh, did she think of me? And I'll start backing away. Okay, flight. We try and get away. So a lot of us in our modern day, we might use, scrolling through Facebook, a whole bunch of different ways of distracting ourselves as flight. So that's also a really big cue to notice, I'm not intrusive, I'm not connected with the world, I'm not curious, I'm not feeling compassion, I'm feeling burnt out. And I want you to know that there is no limits to compassion. You can fill yourself back up with compassion. It's an unending supply, and there's research that shows this. So, flight is the next one. Our survivors, they can't get away. So where do they have to go next? Freeze. They start to shut down. So once you can't get away, you start to numb yourself. You collapse, you shut down, you are not present in your body. You can move through life. We call this functional freeze. Most of our survivors would be in a state of functional freeze. They have learned to dissociate and numb themselves and not feel. And it's often, I don't know in other countries, but Cambodia actually says you don't want to feel. You don't want to go there. It's better just to push it away and numb yourself. But I want this out of today saying, this is not true self. When I'm feeling like this, I'm not alive. I want to be alive. I want my power. The next one is flop. Now this is important to understand if you can tell anyone in government and in the legal system about this. Flop is like the possum that completely pretends it's dead, okay? When you cannot fight, you cannot get away, and even freeze, being numb, is too much for what you're experiencing, you will go into what's called flop. You have neurochemicals which course through your body so that you don't feel. So if you're in rape or torture, etc., you can actually get to this stage and you will lose bodily functions. And all of this is a way to put the predator off. So you will usually defecate or urinate, but your body is plain dead. Now this is really important when judges are saying, did you say no to a rape? We've got girls, in there in the legal system saying, did you say no? She can't fight at that point. She can't get away. She's in freeze. What do we know when they're down in survival brain? Is there language? No language. None whatsoever. Her body has now completely shut down. So I want to get this message out. We've had cases in the Philippines with our clients where the judge ruled that they were not trafficked because they didn't say Ivy knows and Marissa knows. They said she didn't fight back or she didn't say no. We need to understand this for those of us working in sexual exploitation, the actual science behind it. The next one is fawn. Okay, this is the people pleaser, the good girl. So you might have a survivor who's so wonderful, she's so helpful, she does whatever you ask, and I guess, can I do anything else? I love being here, and you're thinking, ooh, she's an easy one to work with. Recognize, she doesn't have to feel like she has power. This is a fawn response. Okay, this is not true self, and we don't want to promote that. Okay? We need to help her have her power that she doesn't need to please us. Okay? What does she want to do in this situation? I'm going to go into that a little bit more, how that plays out. But they learn to stay small and please others around them because that is their automatic response to stay safe. When I do this and make others around me happy, I can say safe. That's really hard to say. Stay safe. And many women do this in marriages. Many friends do it. It's easier not to have a fight. It's easier not to say what I really want or to have my needs recognised. Like, you don't feel safe. You're not alive. So the next one is flock, okay? So they will often move to groups of people. So whether that's gangs, this is where boys tend to go, right? Because they have a sense of belonging, which is an attachment need that's met, and they feel safe in a gang. It can be religious cults or religious churches that make them feel safe, that they've got everything figured out and know all the right answers. It could be clubbing in that moment. If I go clubbing, I hang out with my gals, we're going to have a good time, we feel safe. So you are going to see that every single behaviour has a function. And our role as leaders is to say, what is the function of this behaviour? Why is this girl wanting to go clubbing? What is this serving her? There will be a reason, an emotional learning that her brain has taken on, that she will feel safer in that club, and she has a choice and a power, and it gives her a sense of being in control. And as you'll see, sometimes though that can be not so healthy, and our role is, what does that look like to help them feel safer? This is a fun one, next one. FUCK. I just because it's an F. But a lot of us working in this field, like my donors just can't understand why we have pregnant girls being sex trafficked, you know? They wouldn't want to have sex again. So when they have been abused and raped, do they feel safe?
No.
Do they have control?
No.
So the emotional learning that their brain has taken on is, I'm going out and having sex. I choose to do it, and I choose to be a badass at it as well, and this is who I am. This is all they've experienced as well, right? So I feel safe because I'm in control. I seek out this person and going to have it, and I'm choosing to do it. So your emotional brain is a bit of a dumb brain. There's no logic in it. It says, this works. We feel safe now and we're in control. And it just, if it's used to it, it just says, this is the prediction that's worked for them, and they will continue to do it. So understanding this kind of behaviour also has a function, and we can talk really gently with our survivors about what this part of them is trying to do. And we call this neural integration. When information comes from the implicit, the unconscious, where there are no words, to the conscious, and becomes explicit. So we call it neural integration. Emotional learnings that have no words have words, which is what the darling people at Alicia's are doing with the photo voice. By using, because remember, they have images. Images are in your emotional brain. And so they can put words on this to deep emotional content that's never actually had a meaning or a way for them to explain why they are. So I just wanted to really go into that because it's a very common thing for our girls to play around, and we're like, really, you know, just keep saying it. Every behaviour has a function. And my job, how? Is that, are they not safe? Or they feel powerless? The last one is feed, okay? And the last four are not hierarchical. The first four are hierarchical. The last four come and go depending on what works. Feed is alcohol, drugs, chocolate, food, unhealthy food, porn. Whatever it is that you're putting into your body, okay, to distract yourself from the emotional pain of not feeling safe. When you're doing that, when you're numbing yourself, the parasympathetic nervous system comes into action, and you feel a moment of calm. And you think this is true self, but it's not. And so you can check. I don't feel very curious after eating that bar of chocolate. Whatever. So once again, I don't look at addictions or suicide as I don't want to see them as a behaviour. I want to see what the function is. What is the emotional meaning that this person has taken on that they don't have their power? And that's the work that we need to do is what gives them their power back. How do you own your power with these automatic predictions that are just happening from our survival brain, from our lived experience? So, let's have a look at how this plays out. Now, this is very nuanced. I teach this subject for 12 weeks, 3 hours each week. So I'm condensing it to 1 hour. So I'm going to introduce you today to the dreaded drama triangle. But the exciting thing that you guys are going to go out here today, I'm not just going to bring up a challenge, I'm going to give you a solution. You can go out here so empowered, okay? Oh, and I have handouts, and I've also had Joe upload the PowerPoint for you, so you can have access to that. It should be already up, I think Joe said he got it. And, Leanna, would you mind just, I'll hand it out after. A good trainer knows if you give out notes and all there's too much information on the screen, you're all just reading it rather than listening to me. So I will give it to you at the end. You can draw your own as you go, because that makes sense to you then and it gets in there, okay? So, the drama triangle. So I want you to imagine a soapy on TV that's got drama and conflict and, whenever there is conflict or difficult challenges, usually we're stuck on the drama triangle. And there are 3 actors who play this, who have the part, okay? And they are victim, persecutor, so we're looking at the bottom triangle, and rescuer. So let me explain. Some people call this the victim triangle. Okay, so you might, when you Google some of this. Now, this drama triangle is problem focused. All it can do is think about the problem. This is a really big problem and it's impacting me and it's pain and I don't feel safe and I don't have any control. So this actually brings us into a victim mindset. So I'm not talking about a true victim of a crime. This is a victim mindset that says, poor me, the world is so bad, all these bad things keep happening to me, and it's so hard, life is so bad, and I'm bad luck and everything. It's a victim mindset. And if you get nothing from all of this whole session, if you can notice when you say, poor me, anytime now, you're in your survival brain. You feel powerless and not safe in the world. And so you've chosen, I'm going to be in the drama show. Okay? So when you're feeling powerless, it means that somebody has to have the power. So the other player in this show, okay, is the persecutor. Now this doesn't have to, it can be a person, it can be our survivor's family, mother, a husband, or it can be a government, it could be a disease like COVID. There is something that is holding all the power, okay? So, I have to move finally. So poor me, okay, the victim, I'm unsafe and powerless. Now we're up to the persecutor, okay, in this drama, dominates, blames, and tears down. So usually, when there is a drama, the victim will come to you, victim mindset, okay? She's so mean in the sugar room, she said my flowers, and it's just so unfair, and or it can be really real things that my mum said, I can't stay here anymore, I've got to go back to do sex work, etc. But there's not a sense of power in it. So there's always got to be a persecutor who's holding the power. So we can actually just take a moment and say, who's holding the power here? Where is the persecutor? What is the persecutor? On the other side, the third actor in this drama is the rescuer. Okay, once again, the rescuer can be a person like us, counsellors, leaders, NGOs working in the field. we think we are the saviour. We can save this girl and the whole world. Okay? So I'm going to come into talking a little bit about that in a moment. But it could also be not a person. Alcohol, drugs, food, whatever it is to rescue. But I'm going to give 2 examples, and this drama triangle plays out interpersonally and organisationally. Okay? Organisations can be in the drama triangle. Poor us, we don't get any funding, it's so hard, everyone's against us, etc. Who's the persecutors? Oh, those terrible funders, the government doesn't do enough to help us, etc. And the rescuer are the people that you, oh, Amber, it's so terrible, let's get together and just talk about it. And Amber says to me, oh, I know, it's so hard, poor thing. So a rescuer always says, poor you. How do I feel when somebody says, poor me? Do I feel empowered? It keeps me as a victim because life is bad. So when you try and rescue someone, you literally, when you think that you're helping, let me help you, let us give you some money to get a bike, let us do this for you, you poor thing, Kakada. Kakada doesn't feel powerful. She feels only rescuing. Now obviously if it's crime, there are times, when you literally are powerless and you need, I'm talking about a mindset here, okay? So if I'm going to get you a solution, so don't worry, but I really want you to hear this. We do not want to keep our colleagues, our organisation, all the beautiful people that we work with in the position of victim. By going along and colluding with poor me, powerless talk, we enable someone and keep them as a victim. Okay? So we move around, often people from their personality and lived experience have a starting gate position, we call it. So for me, most counsellors, we fall into the rescuer. My childhood was looking after my mum when my dad, would do dastardly things. So I love to rescue. I rescued her and my whole life growing, oh, you're such a good girl, what would I do without you? Is my identity in rescuer. So this is where the sense of self comes. Okay? I only know myself in this role because that's who I am. Because I haven't learned to be in true self, to own my power. Okay? So, some are mean. Am I? We were talking about this yesterday. Their identity is fight. I will, and this is where we hear all of the terms of when personality disorder, attachment, etc. I will push you away before you can hurt me or push me away. Okay? And that is, they don't even know they're doing it. So there's this kind of awareness that we can bring out and beautifully validate, normalise, and explain to people what's happening in their brains. This is what's happening. It's okay, sweetie. But I'm going to let you, anyway, I'll get to the solution about what we can do in just a moment. So we move around. So usually what happens, and this happens a lot in NGOs, is we help someone, we give them this, we give them a job, we give them help, we give them counselling, we give them and then they don't appreciate it. They're ungrateful. Okay? So victims, when they're trying to move around the triangle, they move up to persecutor. And then us as rescuers, we move into victim. Poor me, no one appreciates what I do. My boss doesn't, the donors don't, blah, 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 blah. So we can move around. And after a while, you often have to move from victim to persecutor just to get yourself out. Okay, so you get angry. So once you can this is the first step, just acknowledge and be aware. Ask yourself, where am I? If there's drama in your life, where am I on this drama triangle? Am I being a rescuer? I'm colluding with others to take away their power and bring in pity? Am I a victim or a persecutor? Oh, I have to put in my little, there's poor you. Okay, so what is the solution to this? We are going to say we don't want the drama show for our life. I don't want to live the drama show. I want the empowerment show. I want to come into my power. I want the people we work with to find their power. So the victim actually becomes the creator. So the empowerment triangle is no longer problem focused, what's wrong with the world, what's wrong and who's hurting me and how I don't feel safe and how I don't have a choice. It's now outcome focused. What do I want and how do I get it? Just going to let that sit. And instead of anxiety, which is living in the drama triangle, there's a sense of passion as we actively create the world that we want for ourselves. Now this, I really want you to hear, this is not toxic positivity. Life is hard, really challenging. Stuff happens, really bad stuff. But we were created with free will. And choice is part of our DNA, to feel safe and to choose. We get to choose our response, no matter what. I'm going to give you some really big examples of people who chosen their response. We get to choose it. I can't live Amber's life, okay, and she was sick, but I am going to, instead of rescue Amber, I'm going to become her coach. I'm going to become her cheerleader, okay? So instead of I'll say, poor you, and you were telling me, weren't you, poor you, Ruth, that's so terrible. She's now going to support me, cheer me, and say, well, what can you do? What's going to happen? What's the way out of this for you? Tell me some of your solutions. I'm right here, I'm next to you, cheering you on. I'm going to support you. So this is where we as leaders within this field need to be. Cheerleaders, helping our beneficiaries own their power. Helping them to start thinking, yeah, I do have a choice. I do have a choice. I was created with free will. That's the one thing that's so innate about humans. We get to choose. And no one can take that away from us. No one. And we want to enable it. The people we're working with and colleagues as well and ourselves want to feel alive and in true self. How does that look like? What does that to be able to choose your response and to champion those who we're working with and encourage them? So when Creator says, I can do this, I can do it. Okay, it's not saying there's not hard things going to happen, but I'm going to get to choose my response. Okay, how I move forward. I'm owning my power. The coach says, well, how are you going to do it? How are you? You can toss around ideas back and forward, but you're cheering that person on to own their power. You are not rescuing them. So the challenger, we need challengers. So instead of a persecutor, challengers are the people that notice when things are not working and say things need to change. But because they're outcome focused, they bring the solution. They say, this is what we need to go. Let's think about trying this. It might fail or work, I'm not saying it will work, but this is what I can see that's happening. How can we do this better? How can we, what new systems could be put in place? I'm thinking this. What does everyone think? So they own their power. We need challengers. We need people who want to disrupt the system and challenge. Sometimes if you're the boss, leader, you might need to challenge some staff on ways that they can do things better. But it's a different word. Instead of dominating and blaming, you say, you can do this. I know you can. You can be a great leader. What does it look like in this situation for you to own your power? So we're challenging, but we're helping that person take their own responsibility for their life. We can't live it for them. We can't get in their head. We can walk alongside them, we can champion them, we can do life with them, but only they can live their life. And this message is so powerful for those of us who also understand learned helplessness. So I know there's a few people in the psychology field here. This is a really old principle. And there's Google learned helplessness classroom setting, and it's such a fun example. A teacher comes in, she gives this side 3 anagrams. She gives this side 3 anagrams. And then she says, when I tell you, I would like you to mix the letters around and come up with a new word. What she hasn't told them is this side has different words to this side. So this side is looking at the word and they're really stuck, and she says, so when you've worked it out, put your hand up. So this side works out pretty fast, and they've all got their hands up. And this side is like, she's kind of scattered a few in amongst this side as well, of course. And they're like, freak, what's happening here? You know? And then she goes, okay, let's do word number 2. Same thing. This side over here says, quickly, yep, done that. All hand up, and they're still looking at it going, what? And the third word is the same. And this is an experiment done through a Harvard study. The group, within 3 minutes, also didn't do the third one, which was solvable. They gave up. And this is what learned helplessness is. I can't do this. And it's an automatic response. They didn't say, they just went, the learning that they took, I'm dumb, I can't do this, this activity is not mine. So our job is to work and champion the people that will work, yes you can do this, how are you going to do it? And it's to really build that in to the survivors that we work with our colleagues, that together as an organisation fighting anti-trafficking, we can do this. I can do it. There are solutions. We can own our power. We don't need to pity ourselves and poor us. We are powerful. We can unite. So when I teach, and it's so passionate living this way, you know, and not actually feeling like there's no such thing as failure. And I know it's a bit cliche, but I just love the story of the lady who made Spanx pants. Her father, every day when she came home from school, said, what did you fail at today? And if she hadn't failed at something, he'd be upset because it meant she hadn't tried anything new that day. If you're not failing, you're not trying new things. It's okay to try new things and create the world and the life that we want. Okay. So you might say, oh yeah, but you don't understand. The survivors that we're working with, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. I want to give you an example of a few examples. Most of you have heard of Nick Vujicic. Have you? Who has heard of that? Yeah, I think he's an amazing. So he was born with no arms and no legs. And he's now a motivational speaker. But he talks about how he just didn't want to live anymore. He was in victim mode. He said, there is no life for me. I'll never have a wife, a family, a life of any worth. It's too hard. And he literally tried to drown himself. And he had a beautiful spiritual experience as he tried to drown himself. And he is now a motivational speaker around the world, encouraging kids in schools everywhere, anti-bullying and a whole bunch of things. He's made such an impact in the world. He no longer says, poor me. He says, what a life I get to live. He has the most beautiful wife, an incredible family. He does whatever he wants to do. Oh, see, I'm right on target. And he's creating the world. If Nick can do it, we can do it. So once again, I'm not saying life is not hard. Life is hard, and it's always going to be hard. There's challenges. But in the midst of that, we can find joy and purpose and meaning and make this place so much better one by one. So, this is the empowerment triangle. I hope you all go and live there and make that your TV show. I live in the empowerment show. I live in the drama show. But we have a few minutes now, so I would love to take questions. If anyone would like to ask about this. Yes, Ruth. We've got the same name, it's so cute.
If anyone wants to learn more about this,
Leanna, do you want to take the mic over, actually? Oh, should I do that? Oh, I'm so used to doing that from the floor. Thanks, Leanna. I'll do both. I love 4 questions. I'm not scared.
if anyone wants to
Press it, maybe. I'll do one here while Ruth jumps the queue.
Hi. If anyone else, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for teaching us how to live in the empowerment show. If anyone wants, what's the next reasonable step from here for those who want to learn it for themselves personally, or to be able to implement this material where they work?
So I would, so Leona, now if you want to take this around, we teach it within your organisation so that you all have the same language. So you can just say, where are you on the triangle? You don't have to judge or blame or whatever. So this is the first thing, is noticing. Step 1 is noticing. And I'm going to tell you now, if you stay in the drama show, there is not a happy ending. There's nothing that will ever work out if you stay there. You have to move. You have to move to the empowerment triangle. So it's having that language, and you will have your own self-awareness practices. So what I'm hoping today is understanding and having grace for yourself, understanding what true self is when you're automatically responding in ways that take you out of true self, and how to claim and notice where you are. So this is all about self-awareness. This is identity formation. We change who we are. We don't want to live in the S. We want to live in those C's, okay? Yeah, that's the quick answer. I could go so much more, and I had a whole bunch of different exercises to do today with helping us be in self and noticing the different parts of us, the images that we've created and constructed of who we are. So a lot of people here today have a self that they think is their struggling self, the depressed self. So they say, I am an anxious person, versus I made in the image of God. I see a part of me that is anxious at this moment, is fearful. Let me explore that. Let me hear what that part has to say and witness. What's going on for that part? Why doesn't it feel safe? Why doesn't it feel like it has a choice right now? What's going on? Having words to explore that. That's a whole other section. So, Leona, yeah, what was the next question? I'm going to do the one from, did I put it down? Oh, I did. Is it possible for a survivor's thinking to become completely numb due to trauma? And what actions should we take to revive it to convert them from victim mentality into becoming the creator? So this is what therapy is, and there's 2 ways. So traditionally, therapy is about building new pathways to learn new skills to regulate your nervous system. So when you're feeling fearful or in fight or numb, etc., we learn ways to, I will get to the question part here. We can actually update the neural pathway holding the emotional learning for transformational change. This is called memory reconsolidation. So for those in the field of psychotherapy, there's now 20 years of research, but it unfortunately takes a long time for cutting edge neuroscience to hit the regular psychotherapy show. So yes, being so numb, they're in functional freeze. So you would gently work with them to understand feelings, to have knowledge, to have awareness, because language is power. When you can actually have a narrative of why I am like I am, I'm not broken. When we tell our girls you're not broken, nothing can break you. Nothing can break your soul. parts of you can develop that are shut down and that shut your system down so that you won't feel pain. But they can actually be regenerated. And that is so empowering. Nothing can break you, can break or break a survivor. Their soul always exists and can't be broken, their true essence, who they were created to be. For survivors to get re-trafficked for the second time or maybe more, how should we support rebuilding their brain and emotional resilience, given the fact that they're still in the process of being healed? So most of the time, survivors are, don't generalise it. Research has often shown that a survivor of trauma will be re-victimised because they shut down their nervous system, which in a healthy person would give them cues of unsafety. So their numbing process, which stops the pain, also numbs them to seeing danger. So it is really common. So this is so important to do, and I obviously can't give you an entire psychotherapy course right here now. What does it feel like to come back into self, to be grounded and centered? So mindfulness, if we saw right back from our first drawing, right, is the five senses getting the data. You're hacking your brain by being mindful, by saying, hey brain, I see the beauty of this flower. I smell the suds of this shampoo as I wash my hair and the water going down my back. Not in functional freeze, thinking about the thing that happened last week or what I've got to do today. We hack the data coming into our brain so that we are in true self. So I hope that answered that question. So yes, until a survivor can actually, our role as leaders of working with survivors, this is why I just feel like everyone needs to have this understanding, because it's like pushing a rock up a hill, trying to say, you can do it, why aren't you making good choices for yourself? Make good choices. What can we do to make sure that they feel safe? And it was lovely with Patricia's seminar yesterday. What does a trauma-informed workplace look like? And so yes, so that we feel safe and we have a choice. And also just, I'll quickly do that, as leaders and friends, constantly, does this person who's working with us have a choice? And so it doesn't have to be big. You can say, would you prefer to sit at this end of the table or that end? How are you enjoying doing flowers? Would you like to do this instead? Just constantly that feeling, I have power, I can choose. And we do that slowly over time, obviously, and that builds up to their amygdala has calmed down a little and they're not so hypervigilant. Yes?
So hi, I'm Sally from Monofli. So I work as a program officer and work with victims in our safe house. I just want to ask, because this is, sometimes I found that the victims in our place have, I would say it's a small misunderstanding, but I know for victims with trauma, small misunderstanding can be big to them, right? But the first thing that they will do is to self-harm by cutting themselves. I would like to know where is them in this situation? Are they in the 8S?
Yeah, they are. So this is really common. Anyone who here works with this is a really common question. So I've only got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Can I answer what you've asked first and then do another bit? Because otherwise I won't remember. Our survivors will have agreements because disagreements. So just want to answer the first part and I'll get to the next one. Because fight is the first response. It's a way of helping them feel that they're powerful and in control. Okay, so they need to fight. If they don't fight, they will go to freeze, which is usually what they do. And self-harm is the only way they can bring themselves out of a functional freeze. It actually says all of the neurochemicals give them this huge buzz on a live pain, and so they can bring themselves back up to a baseline and then go back into self if they have it. Often they don't have a sense of self, and we are literally creating a sense of self. Anyway, I've got a whole thing on that, on borderline personality and what happens when somebody doesn't even develop a sense of self. As a child, who you are is reflected back to you from your parents. You learn who you are from your parents. So if they haven't even received that sometimes. So for me, once again, have this mantra in your head. All behaviour has a function. All behaviour has a function. So they're cutting because they're in freeze, perhaps, and they need to feel alive or feel something different from their pain. Rather than get all like, oh, this is terrible, just say, hey, tell me about the pain. Have a look at these photos and tell me which one of these photos and picture cards represents the pain you're feeling now. Because remember, there's no words. Which picture represents your pain? Tell me about it. And get into the root. Otherwise, you're just cleaning up the pus all the time with stopping them from self-harming, writing contracts about suicide or whatever, when really the meaning that they've made, that they matter, that they're valuable, that there is a purpose for their life, is the infection that needs to be cured, that they do have power. The trauma is over and they are safe now. That is the meaning, and being able to live into that. So now I knew if I could get there, I wouldn't get to that last part, but I'm almost like, did that answer your question? Perfect, okay. Well, I think I'm even going to finish on time. I love it. Thanks everyone. Always an honour to be with souls that are passionate about this work and want to make a difference, so thank you. Any questions? I'm here for a bit if you want to ask anything. Thanks, Fiona.
Very good. It's good to have a way to put it all together.
What would you say?
You'll have to come, Emily, you'll have to come. Memory reconsolidation. Google memory reconsolidations or message me. Okay. So it's just the way we learn, and then you consolidate information, but you want to reconsolidate learning. So you want to update the new truth. But actually just message me and I'll send you the exact videos and book that you need to read. And it's in layman's terms, not because it's really high level neuroscience and I've got the layman's terms.
Do you consult, especially get translations?
I don't, but you can ask me. I leave it open for where I'm supposed to be. Burnout is just a part of you that says if we don't shut down, it's bad. So if I do the whole thing on the parts of us, so yourself, there a psychological wound happens, and we develop parts of ourselves, protected parts, neural networks that automatically activate to stop the pain of that part. So burnout is usually feeling stuck, I'm not safe, I can't do this, it's too much, I don't have enough. I don't have enough capacity.
We have to.
Think about anything that
Yeah.
Kok dari sini keluarnya ya? Ini apa? Yang samping. Oh, di ruang mana? Kabanan ada gak ya? Ada tadi. Saya tahu aku. Halo. Oh, dingin sekali di situ. Oh. Oh, di itu. Di ruang makan.
Sih, dingin banget ya.
Oke.
QR code will copy.